Some people apply to schools a year before the end of their OPT as backup plan. So when it's a
Hmm.
year and then there is no other option, then they resume for another program. That's why you see people with multiple degree, like I have masters in this, another like two masters and one PhD. Condition that made them out of those degrees. It's not like a life book like that. But then that's what some people do also, or then you have to go back to your country.
Hi, hello. Welcome back. Welcome, guys. So, if you're new here, hi, hello. My name is Anne, and on here I do talk about life and study in Italy. And if this is the first time you're coming across this video, this is Lenses. So, you might be asking, what is Lenses? So, it's a video series where international students from all walks of life come onto the channel and then they share about their experience living abroad, and then they also share about opportunities abroad for international students. So today I have with me Tess from the USA. I'm just going to hand it over to her so that she introduces herself. So please do introduce yourself.
Thank you. Hello everyone. My name is Tessyb. Currently here in the United States, and I'm also a YouTuber. You can check me up at Tessyb. And in this video, I'm opportune to be hosted by Anita.
So we're just going to go right on ahead with the conversation. So Tess, can you share a bit about yourself? When did you move to the USA and which university did you move to study?
Okay. So I came to the United States 2021. I came here. I came to study at University of Alabama at Birmingham. I came through a direct PhD full funded admission to study chemistry. So I've been here for over 2 years now. I remember I came precisely July 28th, 2021. So it's been over 2 years. And it's been amazing ever since then. I've been learning and unlearning, lots of culture shocks and all of that.
We will really talk about that. Like the culture shocks, you're going to talk about that. But then which country did you where are you originally from?
Yeah, I'm in Nigerian. I moved from Nigeria. I've always been in Nigeria all my life. Moving to US was my first time of ever leaving Nigeria, and then I've not been back to Nigeria ever since then.
Was okay. So how easy was it coming to the US? And then like why the USA? How did you hear about the university? How did you hear about the opportunity that you took to kind of like get there? How why the USA?
Yeah, so I think when I was in university back in Nigeria, I had like senior colleagues then who were processing, traveling out to study in US. So some of them actually got admission and then they came here. So that was how I got to know about, the fact that you can actually come here to study and get paid for studying. Because when they say full funding admission, they are paying you stipend also, and they're also paying all your school fees and all of that. So that was when I got to know about it. But then I wasn't really sure because in my head I was thinking, oh, it's for people who finish with a perfect CGPA, with first class and all of that. So I didn't really put my mind into it. And then like after school, I had this roommate then, or neighbor actually. So he used to tell me like, oh, he's also planning to like travel here to like study and all. So I'm like, okay, maybe I should just try. And I remember I called like a senior colleague of mine here in the United States to like ask her, okay, what do you think? Do you think I have a chance? And she was like, of course you do. So that was how I tried. And honestly, I don't think it's hard. Like people think it's hard, but studying in the United States is honestly not hard. Coming here, especially through the school visa, it is it is relatively easy. It's not as hard as people think it is. All you need is the right information and the right set of people to guide you. That's all.
Wow. The right information, the right set of people to guide you. Oh, today, we're all going to get to know of the right information. Yeah, that is it, that's actually like so good. So how was the process like? Like if anybody's looking to move to the USA for studies, how was the process like? I know probably it was a different program for you, so you might have gone through a different process, but then generally was the process like?
I mean, generally speaking, the process is actually the same for like almost everybody, except if you are going for maybe a program like law or something. That's when it's a little bit different. So the general process is, just get your transcripts from school, and then just go online and search for universities, and then check their requirements. Some of them could require that you write some international exams, so you are going to write it, and then also you need to write a statement of purpose, just like a letter, like detailing your purpose, your passion, why you want to study for that course, and all of that. And honestly, that's basically all. Just a transcript, your SOP, and then the exam if you need to write international exam. But like it's not that hard. So once you submit all of those, usually admission, like some admission come with funding. You don't even have to apply separately for scholarship or anything. It comes with it. So all you just need to do is to search for schools that offer funding to everybody, and that is very easy. Like most schools in the United States actually offer funding to students, unlike some other countries.
Wow. So you just have to do a Google search and
That's
then you
all.
find the school and that's all?
That's all. You just need to search for schools for your program and then check their requirements. And then you can reach out to the graduate coordinator to like talk to them that you want to apply and then ask your questions. And then to increase your chances, you can also reach out to professors in that department that you are interested in working with. Tell them you want to work with them and all of that. And then they'll also help you increase your chances of getting admission also. But that's basically all. Like it's honestly not, it's not rocket science.
Wow. So is it the same, is it the same process for undergrad, masters, and PhD, or
Yeah.
is it just
It's the same process. The only difference is for undergrad, you're writing a different international exam from
Mhm.
graduate students. For undergrad, you're writing SAT exam. For graduate students, you're writing maybe GRE, and it's not everybody that even writes it. It depends on what your program requires. Some does not require you to write any exam, while some does.
Wow. Wow. That is like so good. You made mention of the fact that we just have to do a Google search. Is there something that international students need to know? Like maybe I don't have to apply to this particular school because after I'm done, I will not be able to get opportunities, or it just doesn't matter. Any school at all, whether a community college, a university or anything like that. After you're done, you can get opportunity to remain in the, you know.
I'm honestly hearing that for the first time. Like I'm not sure that there is anything like that here. If there is, then that means I'm not aware of it. And for me not to be aware of it, that means it doesn't exist, most likely. Because I'm like very current with information like that and all of that. So I don't
Oh,
think there is anything like that. Yeah, you can actually apply to any school. You
any
can apply
school
to any
else.
school. Yeah, because I
Okay.
know people that are currently in community college. I know people that are in low ranked school. You can
Mm-hmm.
actually apply to any school.
Any school at all. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, because that's also very, very like very important to, because later on I feel like this is necessary. Later on you're going to talk about other opportunities in the US, like in the USA, and I feel like it's good to know that students can apply to any school at all in the US without being worried. So next, I want you to share a bit about the scholarship, the one you benefited from, because I know you made mention of the fact that with some scholarship you don't necessarily have to apply for admission again, or when you apply for the school, you're automatically going to get funding. But then the particular one that you enjoyed, was it like that, or you had to apply separately?
No, I didn't apply separately. It was like that.
Okay.
So like once you get admission, then you get funding with it.
Funding. Okay.
Yeah,
So what
but to
are
buttress further on your question, so funding can come in different forms. It can come as a form of scholarship. Scholarship
mhm,
just means that you're not doing anything back in return. It's maybe merit based or whatever. But then the
mhm.
most popular one here in the United States is the one that comes in form of assistantship. So assistantship is divided into two. There is teaching assistantship and research assistantship. So if your funding comes in form of teaching assistantship, then it means that they are going to give you a teaching position. You probably be teaching undergrad or be like an assistant to a teacher or no to a professor who teaches.
Wow.
So and
Wow.
in
Really?
return, the department and the school funds your program. They pay for your school fees, your health insurance, all of that. And then some might also pay for like give you stipend, depending on if it's full funding or partial. Because if it's partial, they probably would only pay for your school fees, but then they won't pay you stipend. So you can then try to do other jobs to get
Jobs.
extra money.
Hmm.
Then the one that comes in form of research assistantship means that you'll be doing research for a professor, and then in returns, your tuition and your expenses is covered by that professor's grant. So for me, mine was in form of teaching assistantship. So I usually teach undergrad, like chemistry practical and all of that. And then in return, the department covers for like all of my cost of living, all of my school expenses.
Wow.
But like I said, like there are some schools that you don't have to apply separately for assistantship. Once you apply
Mhm.
for admission, so far as they give you admission, they will most likely give you the like funding. And there are
Okay.
some that you actually have to apply separately after you get admission. Schools like that, it simply means that they don't fund everybody. So they give
Oh,
those people admission, and then those people then apply for funding, then they choose people to give it to
to
because they
give it
cannot
to
afford to give it to everybody.
everybody. Oh,
But
okay,
schools
that
like this
is
actually admit more people compared to schools that fund everybody. Like schools that
yeah.
fund everybody can just admit 3 persons or just 5 persons. In the old, you know how many people from different countries that are applying. So it's more competitive.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I want to ask, with the like full funding, does it also cover like the plane ticket?
Oh no, it doesn't. People ask me that a lot. No, no, it doesn't.
I have to ask because the moment you mention, I feel like, yeah, does it include plane ticket
I know, like
also?
everyone, whenever I talk about like full funding, people are always quick to ask me on my channel, oh, so are they also going to pay for my flights and ticket? I'm like, no, you are paying for that yourself. You won't even get any money till after your first month of working as a maybe research assistant or teaching assistant. So they don't cover for that. Like that's your problem that you have to sort out yourself. People also ask me, oh, do they pay for my house rent? Like, do they cover my accommodation? I'm like, no, but then they are paying you stipend so that you can use it to sort out your accommodation. But they won't
Accommodation.
get like they won't put you in a house or
It
something.
is.
No.
Okay, okay, okay. So I would like you to share a bit about the visa application process because I know it's clearly different for the USA. You've gotten the admission, the university is, funding you, but then how is the process like with the visa application?
So after you get your admission, then you just need to apply for the visa, and then you are going to get something they call I-20 from the school. So that I-20 is what you take to the embassy. But then that I-20 is going to detail the amount you need to survive. Like it's going to detail your cost of it, right? Not really cost of living, but your expenses for your first year. And then if you have funding, by the side of it is going to then state your funding. And then it's going to compare the amount of the two. So if you have deficit, it's going to be there on the I-20. But then if your funding is, let's say, surplus, excess, is also going to be on the I-20. So the visa embassy can see everything. And also, if you don't have like funding or anything, and if you don't have funding, obviously you have to provide like a sponsor, like okay, somebody is sponsor, maybe my daddy, my uncle, or something. You provide their statement of accounts. So the
Mhm.
amount in the statement of accounts will be in the I-20. So it will be put side by side together with the cost of living, the amount you need to survive. So then obviously it has to be more than the amount you need to survive. So that's what you take to the embassy. So when you get to the
Okay.
embassy, just by seeing your I-20, the visa officer already knows if you are funding or not, if the school is funding you or not. So if the school is funding you, your chances of getting your visa approved is almost 100%. Like it is very sure because come on, why would they stop you? The school is telling you, come, don't worry, we'll pay for this person. They have no reason to stop you. But then if you don't have any form of funding, that's when it becomes very, very difficult. And honestly, it is very easy to get admission without funding here. So a lot of people, when you go to the embassy, like 90% of them don't have funding. And then you keep seeing rejection, 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 rejection. And then just few percent are the ones who have funding. So I guess the visa officers, they're just tired of seeing lots of people coming with no funding. And then they are scared that you might not be able to survive over there,
Survive.
become a nuisance over there. You might start doing jobs they're not supposed to do. So that's why they reject people. But if you have funding, even if it's partial, like the more funding you have, the more your chances of getting your visa approved.
Getting.
But it doesn't mean that if you don't have funding, you won't get your visa approved. I know people that came here without any form of funding, like the school didn't fund them at all. They are funding themselves and they also got their visa approved. The chances is also
Approved.
not high as if you have like full funding or any form of.
Funding. Okay, okay, okay. So does it mean that like your proof of funds, if you don't have funding, that means you have to provide proof of funds. You
Yes.
have to, when you're going with the I-20 to the embassy, you also have to go along with your proof of funds, like the
Before you
document.
even get that I-20, you have to provide your proof of fund to the school. Because that is
Oh,
the way they can put it on your I-20 that okay, this is this person's personal funding. So you have to send it to the school before the school can even send you an I-20. If you don't send it to school, they won't send you an I-20. So then when you go to the embassy, then that I-20 and then the proof of funds, what you now take to them to the embassy.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. So I don't know. Do they have a cap on the amount of money you really need to have for if you don't have funding?
No, it just has to be because you will know, like they will tell you, you will know the amounts you need for the like
Mhm.
expenses to survive for a year, and that already covers your rent, everything. So it has
Okay,
to be more than that. Like that's to be like maybe
more than
5 times than that, not
wow.
something lower than that. Because
That's okay.
imagine, let's assume that your cost of like your expenses that you need is like maybe let's just assume $20,000, and then you are providing a statement of account of $15,000. Are you saying that because that is somebody's account, that's probably your uncle's account? Are you saying that your uncle
Uh-huh.
is giving you all the money in his account and then he has nothing left? Like that would be more to show that okay, the person can conveniently fund you and then still
Hmm.
add something to themselves. Do you understand?
Wow, that's actually good. That's true. That's true.
And
That's really true. So, like, how long does it take for you to kind of like get the visa to the USA? And then how much do you have to pay, like, for the entire process?
so you have to pay service fee, which is the only expensive money. I can't exactly remember the amount, but it's probably around $300. I might be
Okay.
wrong, but I know it's something
Okay.
around that. Then I
Yeah.
know the visa fee used to be 67,500 naira. That's in naira. But then
Okay.
now they've increased it. So I know it's probably around $100 or something. I'm also not very sure on
Very
that.
sure.
Maybe like
Okay.
$150 or something like that. But
Okay.
then like the getting a visa is not hard. The only hard part is getting a date. Date is very scarce. Like you have to keep checking every day, every day, every day, every day, every day. Because at times like a date can pop up. So you have to always keep checking. That's just the only like challenging part, getting dates for the
Excellent.
interview. But then once you go for the interview, you know your fate immediately. And then you know if
Wow.
you get your visa or not.
Wow. Wow. So,
Yeah.
what are some of the popular scholarships or funding like in the USA?
Yeah, like I said, the most common one is assistantship, which is that
Okay.
teaching assistantship is actually more common. But then it's either teaching assistantship or research assistantship. There
Research
are
assistant.
scholarship, but not that common.
Not that common.
Not that common as
Okay.
assistantship.
Okay.
Which ones?
Okay. So now you're kind of like you're done with the entire process. You've gotten the admission, gotten the visa, and then you just landed in the USA. What were some of the cultural shocks like you experienced
Oh my
after
god.
moving to the US?
That's a whole lot of episode on its own because I experienced a lot of culture shock. Like the way they dress here, it's so different. The way they talk, like back in Africa, or like at least I know Nigerian, like you respect people that are older. You don't just call them by their name. But here, like you see someone of like my parents, my grandparents' age mates, people are calling them by their name. Hey Laura, hey James, like by their name, and I'm like, don't you guys have any respect? And it's like normal thing. And then also the way they dress, like that was actually my biggest culture shock. Like some of them would wear very short stuff to class, and then it's no big deal. Like they were always wearing like to me it's like pants. They were always wearing like pants all around, saying because it's summer, it's hot, and all of that. So I'm like, are you guys not ashamed? But then obviously, like it's normal to them. It's no big deal at all. Then also this time change thing. I know you guys also experience it. That's also very
Yeah,
weird. Like all of a sudden, you guys lose 1 hour. All of a sudden, you guys get one. I'm like,
give
what are
me
they
that.
tampering with the clock? Like, are you guys are jobless? So that's also like an entire culture shock. And then also there is this weather change thing during
Yeah,
summer. It gets bright till like 9 p.m. As at 9 p.m., you think you guys are still in the afternoon. And then
yeah,
during winter, it's like the other way around. From 5 p.m., everybody's already dark. They're
yeah,
thinking it's like
yeah.
10 p.m. already. So lots of very weird stuff, you know.
I want to ask, you've been in the USA for a while, like for international students that are looking to move to the USA, based on your experience and what you've seen on the job market, what do you think like are some skills, some in-demand skills that they need to kind of like learn before moving to the US to kind of like put them up there in getting better job opportunities? Because I believe just schooling is not enough to prepare you for the job space. So like in demand skills, what do you think in the USA?
Honestly, like that would depend on your field, like what course
Mhm.
you're studying and all of that. Yeah, but generally, aside like a skill that applies to your career, there are also skills that will be very helpful for you to learn when you're coming. And one of it is if you're a lady, if you can learn how to make hair, you're going to
Mm.
make a lot of money here because making hair is so expensive here. If you know how to make hair, forget it. You have money, you are rich. So
Oh, okay.
I also want to learn
Okay.
how to drive also before coming here because learning how to drive here is more expensive because you pay per
Expensive.
hour for whoever
Mm-hmm.
is teaching you for the driving school. So it's very easy for you to learn in Nigeria. They can now master it here.
Yeah, yeah, that is actually true. That is so true. Now I want us to talk about student jobs in the USA. I know you made mention of the fact that when there's like the school is kind of like funding you, and that means you'll be working like as a teaching assistant there. But then, if any like someone is coming and then they don't have funding, what are some of the student job options in the USA like popular for international students?
So if you don't have funding, which is very common, or if you have just partial funding, which is also very common. So when you come here, there are lots of jobs, but the caveat is the fact that unlike some other countries, like in United States, as a student, as someone who is on a student visa, you are not allowed to work outside school. Like you can only work on campus. That is one. Then you can
Mhm.
also only work for 20 hours per week. So let's assume that the partial funding you have requires you to teach for maybe a certain amount of hours. You deduct it. Whatever is left is only the amount of hours that you can use to work. But if you don't have any funding at all, then the maximum you can work for is 20 hours per week. That's like 5 hours or 4 hours per day. But then you can only work on campus. And unfortunately, jobs on campus don't really pay much compared to like jobs outside. But then working outside would be illegal. Do you
Huh?
understand? Yeah, you can only
What?
work. I know it's very, very difficult. Like so many things are so different here. Also, I know in UK you can go with your like your spouse, your husband or your wife, and then
Yes.
both of you are allowed to work. Here
Uh-huh.
also you can come with your husband, but your husband is not allowed to work. You can come with your wife is not allowed to work. Your wife will just be at home. That's it. It is illegal for a dependent to work here in the US, which is very crazy. So let's assume
Wow.
you come as a lady and then you gain admission and then you brought your husband. You are the only one that can work. Your husband is not allowed to work at all, both on campus, off campus, anywhere. He's not allowed to work. It is illegal. So like that's like the not so good part of like
Good parts.
coming here. Because I know, like, it's like, because imagine someone, like, imagine maybe your husband has a very nice business going on in Nigeria, your wife has
Yes.
to work, and then leaving all of that, just come and become a full house husband or a full housewife, and then depending fully on
Oof,
the other
on
person.
you.
Exactly. It's really crazy. And then now it's like all the responsibility, the burden is on only you.
On only no, that is wow.
Yeah, that's the reason why like some people prefer to go to like countries like UK compared to US
Mhm.
because both of you are
Yeah,
allowed to work.
like allowed to
Which makes
work
sense.
here,
Because why would they allow you to bring someone and tell the person not to work? It makes no
not
sense.
to work.
What's the point?
What's the point of bringing the person? Wow. But it's good that you've made mention of that so that those who will be looking to, those who want to apply to the US, they'll be able to know that yeah, you can go, but then you can also bring your partner, but your partner cannot work.
Yeah,
So that'll
exactly.
help you make a well-informed decision.
Yeah.
So
And they
on
have to know
average,
that sorry, and they have to know that even them as a student, they can work, but they can only work on campus. They cannot
on
work
campus. Hey, what is this?
outside.
Wow, wow. Okay, so on average, what is the average student expenses? I know they are funding you, but then on average, your transportation, feeding, like and all of that, the housing and everything, what's the average amount you have to spend for that?
So it honestly depends on the cost of living of where you're schooling because different places have different cost of living and they can be so different. Like an
Yeah,
area can have an house rent of like averagely $1,000. Another place can be averagely of $300. Like the difference can be that much. But I'll use myself as a case study because where I stayed was is not an expensive, it's just somewhere in the
please.
middle.
In the
So
middle.
my rent was like $500 monthly And then like feeding food is very cheap in America. Like food is
Okay.
the least of your problem in America.
Well,
The big problem is housing because you have to pay rent every month.
mm,
I don't know about Ghana, but I know in Nigeria we pay rent every year. At the end of every year, you have to
every
pay
year.
rent next year. But yeah, it's like
Yeah.
every month, and then you're paying that amount of money. But then
Mm-hmm.
feeding, I spend just like maybe $200 per month or less than that per month on feeding. Then rent is like maybe $500 to $600, and then I stay very close to school, so
Transportation.
I walk to school,
Okay.
so I don't.
Okay.
There's no transportation. Then what else?
Transportation.
That thing that then my bills like
Mm-hmm.
utilities, like you pay for electricity, water, internet, and all of that, and that depends on your usage. But then averagely, maybe around $60 each.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. So maybe on average a month, I don't think you spend more than 10, like 1,000. You don't
Yeah,
spend like
like
more than
yeah, like
1,000.
around that, around the
No,
thousand actually.
1,000. Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
And like, I want to know, does the funding cover that? Like, does it really cover the 1,000 the amount you spend for your expenses
You
monthly,
mean
or
mine? You mean
yeah, like I
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
mine does, mine does. Like it covers all my expenses.
Your expenses,
I mean, it
okay,
all depends
then.
on how much you can manage money and don't live like because I have students that like live in apartment of like 1,700 $1,700. So just stay where you know that at least you're able to have something to save. Don't go for
Save.
the high end of things and say you want to live
Yeah.
in a house that has swimming pool, that has gym and all of that. So I'm just living like a moderate life.
Moderate life. That's good. That's good. So at least you'll be able to
Yeah,
save
exactly.
something as well.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Would you say the USA is a place like, for study? Would you really recommend people to come to the US for studies based on your experience?
Yes, I very much do because coming to the United States, honestly, is going to pave way for you. So aside the fact that your degree is going to be well recognized anywhere you go to in the world because it's USA. Aside that, you can easily move to other countries. So going from let's say an African country to maybe UK or Canada or Italy, like I don't know how hard it is, but then if you're already in USA, migrating from USA to UK or to Italy or to Canada is very, very easy.
Easy.
So coming here will just give you that leverage. Like it's just a very good like ground for you to do anything you want to do. And honestly, even if you go back to your country back home after you study, you won't remain the same again because people are going to respect that degree that you're holding. So you
Yeah.
probably get a top position or a top role in a top company or something like that. So and even if you stay here also, there are job opportunities here also. So the only issue is
Okay.
just the whole immigration, sponsorship, visa, work visa thing, which every country face also, I think.
Also, yeah, that's true. That's true. But then, what are the opportunities after graduation? Because that is actually very, very important. After graduation, can people actually remain in the USA?
When you're done studying, you have 1 year to stay back to work. So, which is what I was talking about before, like that's called OPT, optional practical training. So it's just like, okay, you're done studying, stay here to gain experience before going back to your country. That's the whole idea of that thing. So you have just 1 year. But then if you're in a STEM program, you can extend it by 2 more years. So if you're in a STEM program, you have 3 years. What is STEM? STEM stands for science, technology, in engineering and mathematics. So if
Mhm.
your course falls under any of those, for then you have 3 years to stay back.
Okay.
Now, during this period of time, either 1 year or 3 years, depending on whatever you fall in, that is when people try to get a company or a job that is going to sponsor their visa. So
Mhm.
you get a job during that time, you tell them, oh, you need sponsorship. So if you are lucky enough and the company offers sponsorship means that they are going to file for your work visa. If
Visa.
they do, then good for you, you stay. But then if you are unable to find a company that would file your work visa, then once your OPT is done, you
You
have
have to
to
go
either go back to your country or some
country.
people go back to school. Like
Okay.
some people apply to schools a year before the end of their OPT as backup plan. So when it's
Hmm.
easy and then there is no other option, then they resume for another program. That's why you see people with multiple degree, like I have masters in this, another like two masters and one PhD. It's condition that made them out of those degrees. It's not like a life book like that. But then that's what some people do also. Or then you have to go back to your country.
Okay, wow.
But then you have just
That's
1 year to try to figure out everything and then do what you
everything.
want
Okay, okay. What would be your advice for
to do.
anyone looking to like move to the USA for their studies, for like their
Okay, for their
education,
studies.
masters, yeah, for their masters, PhD, undergrad? What would be your last words to them or your advice?
So I'm going to advise them firstly that they should try to give all their best to the application. People are very lazy, very, very lazy. Like I said, this whole thing is very easy, but they just have to put in the work. Some people, because they don't want to write like GRE, they don't want to write all those international exams, so they just put in their barest minimum and then they get admission, but then they're not getting funding, and then now they have to get loan and all of those things. I believe that whatever is worth doing is worth doing well. So
Mm,
put all your best into your application, reach out to professors. If you need to write exams, do whatever you need to make your application more competitive so that you can get like at least some sort of funding so that you don't put yourself in some financial situation. Then also
mm,
when you get here, try to network as possible. Try to try to get information. Information is key. Like information
okay.
is really key. Try to get
Yeah.
information and all of that and try to network well also and just know what you are doing.
Okay, 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 okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was so insightful. I'm sure like those who listened, those who joined in today's today's episode, they've learned a lot. And then like guys, I want you guys to know like you can follow Tess on YouTube. She has a YouTube channel. She also has Instagram. So I'm just going to let her like please can you share your details so that they can follow you everywhere on social
Okay.
media.
Yeah, so you guys can follow me firstly on YouTube.
Okay.
My YouTube handle is Tessyb.
Mhm.
So on there, you're going to see my videos about graduate school, the process, the visa process, the application process, and also life in USA generally. I make vlogs
Yours, no.
like what it feels like living in the United States. I also made a video about my culture shock also. Then you
Mhm.
can also connect with me on Instagram. That is I am underscore Tessyb.
That's a B.
Then you can also connect with me on Twitter. That is also Tessyb. I'm underscore Tessyb. But for Twitter, the B is BEE because the
Mm,
normal Tessyb was already used up, so I couldn't use
mhm.
that any longer. But
This
then
is okay.
on Instagram and YouTube, it's just basically Tessyb. So yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. So, guys, in case you didn't catch that, I'm also going to leave her details in this video description. So just head there. You just tap on it. It takes you to directly to her channel. Thank you guys so much for coming on. Like, it's really been an interesting conversation. Like, there's been so much we've actually learned about, applying to the USA and how things actually work in the USA. I believe this has been an informative session, and those of you looking to move to the US, you kind of like have a bit of information at hand to kind of like work with. And then as always, you can always reach out to Tess to kind of like help you any form of clarification that you need. I'm sure she'll be at your disposal. So thank you guys for like taking time to join us for this episode. Tess, thank you so much for coming on to
Thank
share
you
this
so much for
valuable
having me. So
information
nice to connect
with
with
us.
you.
Thank you. Thank you guys. So guys, we're going to catch you in the very next episode of Lenses. Until then, have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.